Now it's time to get dangerous. Today we are going to be talking about the dark side of cartoon collecting. For those of you guys who don't know, I collect cartoon memorabilia. That is like my main thing, whether it's Nickelodeon stuff here in the Cartoon Cavern or in my cartoon variety room, which kind of expands from Nickelodeon, but Nickelodeon's my favorite thing to collect. And I love looking for obscure, strange stuff that the average person just doesn't have in their collection, or maybe just super rare because most people never kept them. I love adding those to the collection and preserving them, and some examples of that are like tickets for events, promotional posters, or wristbands, things that were meant to be thrown away, otherwise known as ephemera. So when I had a conversation at the flea market with one of my friends about those Pokeballs that they had at Burger King, the plastic ones that have like the red and white top, or like just they look like Pokeballs, you know what I mean, but they just snap together and they had like a figure inside of them or a toy. We were talking about how the fact that they were able to cup over like kids' mouth and there was no puncture holes or anything like that for them to breathe, so it led to like a lot of kids like almost suffocating. And I think in one case somebody like actually like a child actually did suffocate to death or was like severely injured. I'm not 100% sure. We'll pop up some news articles and some information as I'm talking, and that led me to the thought of like, I've never looked for it, but is there banned or dangerous recalled Nickelodeon items or Cartoon Network items, Disney items? And that led me down a rabbit hole. Today we're going to cover Nickelodeon, but if you guys want me to cover other stuff, let me know. So we're going to be checking out 10 Nickelodeon items that were recalled for one reason or another, some of which I have in my collection right now. And we'll be popping up images of them on screen. In some cases I might actually grab them and show you guys them physically, but to do that with every single item and grab them out of the vaults would be unbelievably annoying. So we'll give you something for reference, but let's go ahead and get into it with item number 1. And if you guys had any of these items in the comments, let me know. And thankfully you're alive, right? You know, could have been really bad for you. I would have been unfortunate because then you couldn't have hit that like button, which I assume you did. Hit the like button for your gratefulness of life. First item we have from 2007, SpongeBob address books and journals. Roughly 250,000 SpongeBob address books and journals were recalled because the paint on the metal spirals contained lead and also would chip off. Not just lead, excessive levels of lead. And here's some of the journals up for you guys right now. If you guys are big SpongeBob fans or grew up with it, you might recognize some of these designs. In fact, I actually had a couple of these as a kid, which is crazy. I mean, granted, I wasn't over there sucking on the rim of the freaking book, but you know, I guess it gets on your fingers. You can absorb into your skin. You know, you can bite your fingernails and that kind of stuff can go down. But I actually don't have, in specific, I only remember having one, which is this one right here. Oh, I just realized his motorcycle is a chopper, but he also has a karate chopper on the motorcycle. I never actually put that together until this moment. And my idea light bulb it's been broken for a while. But I don't actually have any of those in my collection now. I have a ton of SpongeBob notebooks, but I don't have any of those because of the fact that I guess maybe because they got recalled. Maybe a few of them got out there. Like I said, I remember having one of them, but maybe there was less out there than some of the other ones. So if you guys have that notebook out there, I'd be careful. You know, don't just go around smacking people with those spiral rings. You could kill them. What happens with lead poisoning? Causes serious systematic lead poisoning that damages nearly every organ. Nearly. I guess your liver's over there like, yeah, I'm good. Sorry guys, yeah, I'm the 1%. But primarily the brain, the kidney, and the nervous system. I mean, 2 of those things are really important. Kidneys, come on. And we'll actually pop up the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission's report on this. And the remedy for the situation was a refund. So yeah, that's them right there. A really interesting item. And honestly, if you have one of those, hit me up. I will buy it off of you. I love lead. Okay, this one is crazy because those of you guys that have been watching the channel will remember that I actually featured this on the show many times as something I wanted to buy, but I never did. This is from 2022, and it is the rideable Blue's Clues toy. It is this one right here that is on screen for you guys. It is this plush Blue's Clue, a toy sold at Walmart, which is where we saw it all the time. In 2022, a toy sold at Walmart stores nationwide until July July is being in July of 2022, not July of this year. That'd be a really slow recall, and a lot of babies' faces would be okay. Never mind. You'll understand later. Is being recalled because it tips forward when a young child is riding it. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna buy one of those just for my collection, but who knows if I would have ridden it. You know, I could have broken my forehead, you know? It's not funny, of course, all jokes aside, I'm messing around, but these are seriously messed up when somebody actually does get injured from it. In the case of the folders, the notebooks, you know, I don't know if anybody actually did, but from this, there's 18 reports of children that actually did get facial injuries from this. That's actually super, super terrible. And when I'm talking about these two, I am not at any way blaming Nickelodeon, because Nickelodeon is just the licensor of the products, you know, of the brand. All the different products are made by different companies, and it's not Nickelodeon's responsibility per se to make sure that, like, you know, all the safety precautions are tested on something like that. I'm sure that they wish they would have, because that's not a good look for Blue's Clues, but it's more on the manufacturer's fault. So the handlebars are tucked behind the dog's ears. It's intended for toddlers that were 18 months to 3 years old. So I think because they put the handlebars so forward back, that if the kids, you know, like if you ever ridden a bike before, like if you go too far forward, you know, you start to feel a little bit anxious, you're a little bit nervous, because it can obviously roll that way because your center of mass is more forward. So the handlebars being further back to put that Blue's Clues face in the front, I think is where the issue lies. So if the kid leans a little bit too far forward, boom, that can roll out from underneath you, and you know, you can hit your face. And let's be real, look at the wheels on this thing. Let's zoom on in for those. Those are like not wheels you would anticipate for like a vehicle for a child to be riding on, you know? Those are like the cheapest office chair wheels ever. And if you've ever leaned too far in an office chair before, yeah, you know that you can fall out. So who thought that was a good idea to put on a child's riding toy is really unfortunate. Hindsight of 2020, but I feel like that is really, you could have seen that coming. And it's a plush too. The parents are probably like, oh yeah, like it's a plush, it's so safe. Like even if he falls into it, it's a plush, they'll be fine. Go ahead and ride it. Oh, your face, that's not good. Like, that's terrible. All right, so that's number 2. Okay, so this one is alleged, all right, because there is no official reports of this happening, but I could find an example of where this did happen. So apparently these watches, these SpongeBob watches from Burger King, in some cases, people would have situations where the battery just behind the plastic plate here, obviously these batteries have been dead for years. Probably like a year after. They're not great batteries, that's what you'll find out here. Probably like a year after they came out. But this part would heat up to a very hot temperature in some situations where the battery would overheat and burn the top of the wrist of some of the kids or even adults wearing them. I, though, could not find any actual reports from like any reputable source. These were just rumors, essentially, and victim statements, you know, I guess you could say, of people that said they remember that happening. But I could find an example of 2016 where McDonald's recalled 29 million. Like freaking the notebook company's like, whew, man, we got hit, but not that hard. You know, 250,000 notebooks compared to 29 million freaking items. It has to be a lot less expensive. That is so many items. A 29 million step-in fitness tracker watches included in Happy Meals were recalled due to reports of skin irritation, blisters, and burns. More than 70 incidents were reported. So my thing is like if 70 incidents are reported, you have to think about how many people didn't report. Like how many times when you were a kid did you get hurt using something? And did your parents really like, where's the instructions at? Let me call that number on the bottom here. Where's this one have one? This one doesn't even have a number. They don't even care. They're like, yeah, just go burn to death. But not most people really call those numbers and report it. So the same thing with the Blue's Clues situation, the Blue's Clues chair. Who's to say how many kids face planted that didn't report it? That was only 18 reported. So 70 reported incidents, and looking into it, the watch battery is the same kind of battery that is contained inside of these SpongeBob watches. So I don't doubt that it is a possibility that that did happen with these watches, but without any like credible evidence of it, I don't want to say that that is the case. But still a pretty interesting one because these are so iconic. Like these are one of the most iconic SpongeBob products. defects. So that's number 3. Number 4. Next one up is the flash screen. This one's a little bit for the old heads here, for the old school Nickelodeon fans. A lot of people watching this maybe have never even seen it before. It's a pretty rare item. I actually don't have it in my collection. They go for about $100 online. But here's a good image of it on screen. If you do know Nickelodeon products, you can see it's a pretty cool looking item. It's got that iconic like 90s Nickelodeon toy style to it, but the toy was discontinued. It was not recalled before they could sell it, so there are a good amount of them out there, but they eventually stopped making them because the flashing strobing effect on it had reports of people having seizures. And I mean, you know, freaking we all know how that went for Proygon. Proygon's never been back since. But there's not a ton of information on this one because it's 1994. Anything pre like super mass adoption of the internet is a little bit harder to find information on, but there were reports for it, and I think it's a pretty iconic Nickelodeon item, so I wanted to add it. All right, the next one, man, Paw Patrol. I've been looking for a moment to throw you under the bus. I'm not gonna lie, I specifically was looking for Paw Patrol recalled items just so I could put them on this list. Why must you plague my existence as a Nickelodeon fan and collector? And the history on that is because everywhere I go to collect anything Nickelodeon, you see the Nickelodeon barcode anywhere you go. It always catches my attention, and 70% of the time it's freaking Paw Patrol. So for that reason, let them cook. Which probably wasn't a good choice of words. The item is 2018 Nickelodeon's Paw Patrol Deluxe Marshall Hat with flashlight. And this is an item I have seen before. And to be honest, I feel like I've seen it like not that long ago. Like maybe it's like old stock and maybe they didn't get the memo, but I feel like I've seen it. But maybe I'm just seeing another hat, and I think it's this one in particular. Maybe they released a better version, not flammable version, later in the line, because only 20,000 units were actually released, which is pretty low. It may not seem like a lot, but 20,000 is incredibly low for a mass-produced product. But apparently the batteries in the flashlight could overheat, causing the flashlight to become super hot and a fire hazard. So, you know, it is a Halloween costume, but, you know, unless you're going as Ghost Rider, I don't think anybody wants to see your head on fire. So, is it kind of, I don't know, maybe it's just, I'm terrible for this. I'm so bad. Sometimes, you know, I'm getting these videos and I'm just having fun, and sometimes I just make jokes and I don't mean them all the time, okay? I'm gonna say this, but don't mean it. I'm so bad. It's so horrible that happened to anybody. But isn't it a little ironic that it's a fireman's hat that poses the fire hazard? Or is it just, I don't know. I'm gonna shut up. All right, next item. So next up is the board game JoJo's Juice, which who thought that's a strange, uncomfortable name to begin with, but this game came out in 2021 and apparently had a lot of really inappropriate questions in it. It was for ages 6+. Here's some of the questions from an Insider Edition, and you guys can tell me if you think the questions were too much or, you know, we're okay. You know, we'll play the clip though.
Who in this room would you most like to date? Have you ever been arrested? Have you ever walked in on someone naked or had someone walk in on you? And what is something you do as long as no one is watching?
So that was all the questions they featured in Inside Edition, but there's also this question, you know, when did you learn how to twerk? Which I learned that very, very early from Mr. Patrick Star. I think had they aimed this game for like maybe a teenager, like, you know, 15, 16, that's still kind of weird questions even at that age, but I could understand it more. But at ages 6+, that is deeply concerning. I have no clue who made this game, but I do want to add this clip of JoJo Siwa talking about it. I'm not like a huge JoJo fan, much like Paw Patrol. Her products kind of are the bane of my existence, trying to find Nickelodeon stuff. A lot of times it's JoJo Siwa instead. That's not what I'm looking for, but I do feel like since I'm putting the product in here and it's tied to a specific person and not like an overall brand like Paw Patrol or SpongeBob, give her an opportunity for her to kind of explain how she's not really at fault for this.
Now, when companies make these games, they don't run every aspect by me, and so I had no idea of the types of questions that were on these playing cards, and so I brought it to Nickelodeon's attention immediately, and since then they have been working to get this game stopped being made and also pulled from all shelves wherever it's being sold.
So yeah, as with all these products, it's not necessarily like the Nickelodeon or whoever the show it is fault. It's more on the manufacturer. I don't know who made this game, but yeah, that's very weird. And the game is like $70 on eBay because of the fact that it was banned. But when it first got banned, they were selling for like $100 plus, just because people love being a part of something like obscure, something kind of lost or hidden. This and the Paw Patrol item, like I could live my whole life without, but if I ever see it out in the wild, like the thrift store, I'll probably grab it, just to own like my single JoJo Siwa item, just for the historic mark of it. And being at a thrift store, it's just going to the thrift store, not like funding or giving any money to that very strange, uncomfortable company who made this. But anyway, on to the next one. Okay, next one up is actually another item I have in the collection personally. I do believe it's in the vault, so without going to like look for it and everything, we'll put up images on screen for you. But that is the Zebco Children's Fishing Pole. They made some for SpongeBob, Dora the Explorer, and even Rocket Power, which I've actually never seen the Rocket Power one. I've seen the SpongeBob and Dora ones plenty of times, but that Rocket Power one's gotta be super rare. And if that wasn't enough to make it rare, the fact that it was recalled might make it even more rare. So $1.5 million, no, sorry, million fishing poles were recalled due to lead paint on the rods. And you'll notice it's a trend along like all of them. We'll pop up a couple of the 2005 fishing rods for you guys. So you'll notice a trend here with a lot of the products. Lead paint was a reason for a lot of them. Like at some point, like as early as the 90s, I see some that were for lead paint that I might not feature on this video, but in another episode maybe. But a lead paint is a consistent thing. What is so hard about making paint and just not putting poison in it? Like, why is it such, it's like people are, the companies are addicted to it. It's like, I just can't stop myself from putting in this lead. Like, why is it such a thing? Oh, like I think asbestos, right? Like asbestos, they had a reason for it. Like at some point they thought it was an okay thing to do. Like that was actually a good thing. And then it was like, nope, that gives you cancer, you know? But lead, I never knew there was a point where that was a good thing, you know? So yeah, stop with the lead paint. And it being on the fishing rods, that one I could understand being even more problematic than even the notebook situation. This was me referring to like the spine of the notebook, the hand gesture. That doesn't make a lot of sense with it, but yeah, there's that. But the fishing pole, like your hands are actively on all the time and you sweat, and you know, it does have a tendency to rub, like, you know, a lot. Really, I can see the paint rubbing off and getting into your skin. And the recall offer was for a full refund, a replacement, or a repair kit. Which the repair kit is very, like, that's a little shocking to me. I don't know what. Here's a chisel and some acetone. Just take it off. Here's some gloves too. You are, I'm assuming they meant for the parents, hopefully. But you are 7 or, you know, a child. You can remove this paint, and then you just have a red fishing rod. We just took off Dora. The only thing that really made this a themed item was this little paint, and you have removed it. So now I just have a red fishing rod or a blue fishing rod. Let's be real, a lot of early 2000s licensed merchandise was one drop of acetone away from just being the regular item. So I would not have taken the repair kit. It's kind of crazy they even offered that. All right, next one up in lead, we have the 2007 Fisher Price toys. Now this is huge, and it's one of the largest recalls ever. Nearly 1 million toys featuring Dora the Explorer, Go Diego, Sesame Street were all recalled because all of the figures from that era had lead on them. And this one is genuinely concerning because it's so many of them that were made by Fisher Price in 2007 that we'll pop up images for you. And in this era we live in where a lot of parents are buying nostalgic stuff for their kids to now have. You know, me being a seller of these things as well too, I have so many people that reach out to me buying stuff that we find from the old days for their kids now. And in 99% of the time, that is totally okay. I mean, you could still have that same risk with something coming out today. But these Dora toys, you can still find on eBay, readily available, and they aren't like labeled recalled or anything in particular. So there's likeliness is there's a lot of kids that are probably still playing with these. And the fact that, you know, it's like a very young child's toy, being Dora, it's 3+. You know, kids like to chew on stuff. They like to put things in their mouth. That, I think, is more dangerous than the notebooks, the fishing pole, just because they are these plastic toys that kids are much more likely to put in their mouth. So if you have a child out there, well, not out there, I mean, like in your life, if they're out there, I mean, go be with them, go hug them, go be an involved father or mother. But a lot of times father. Sorry. Anyway, just go be part of your kid's life. But if you do, or you know somebody who has kids and they're like a Dora fan and they're picking up this type of stuff, maybe give them a warning. 2007, Fisher-Price, year to stay away from. Which is really lucky for SpongeBob, because there's actually only, when I can think of it off the top of my head, because I have a problem, I can only think of like one thing that came out in 2007 that was Fisher-Price, and it's this like spinning, like little optional, like, you know those things where like it goes around and it lands on a cow and the cow goes, ooh. Ryan will pop it up on screen. But it's this Fisher-Price like little spinning wheel, like inner tube, spinning life preserver SpongeBob thing that came out in 2007. So that might be the case with that one. But most of SpongeBob's Fisher-Price stuff came out 2004 and 2005 and a little bit in 2006. So he just dodged that lead bullet. Okay, next one up we have is the Sandy plush from 2010. And this was for the Nickelodeon Universe version. I will try to pop it up on screen for you guys. It's hard to say which one it is. And obviously it being recalled, maybe there's not even a ton of information or even images of them out there. Like looking around, I can't even really find, like I think maybe this could be it. We'll pop it up on screen for you. But it's 2010, and being a Nickelodeon Universe product already makes it very limited for the most part, because at that time there was only one location for Nickelodeon. Actually, well, it could have been also the Paramount Parks. So there was Paramount Parks Nickelodeon Universe, but I don't know if that was around 2010. And then there's the Mall of America Nickelodeon Universe, which I think, you know, that's been there. So one of those two locations, and that's already very limited comparatively to something at Walmart or Target. And then on top of that, if it was recalled, who's to say how many actually got out there? But that item was recalled due to the button, the nose being able to be detached, which poses a serious choking hazard for kids. But that one I put on the list just because the fact that it's such a specific thing that I really want one. So if anybody has a 2010 Sandy the Squirrel plush that has a seemingly very removable nose, let me know. I would be interested, because that's something that's like really cool, and I feel like there might not be a lot of them out there just because of all of those specifications that it needed to meet to end up being recalled. Okay, next one up is 2015 Ninja Turtles. So this is the Ninja Turtles crowns that were available at Dollar Tree, Dollar General, and other discount stores. And again, this is another situation where you can currently buy these crowns. It does not list what brand these crowns were, so any pictures that you see popping up for you guys or taking over the screen, these are just examples of what the crowns from 2015, sorry, crayons for all of you purists, again, crowns for us freaking people like me. So the crowns that are coming up on screen for you just are examples of the crowns at that time. So they are not those crowns in specific, but there are a lot of crowns that are available on eBay from 2015. So it makes you wonder, like, and there's no, you know, I don't think everybody hears about these recalls. And the same thing with these address books. Like, I haven't looked, but I'm sure I could probably find some of these SpongeBob address books, that Blue's Clues with the wheels. I'm sure I could find all of that stuff on eBay, and there's no real warning for it. So if you were to go into Walmart, you would no longer be able to find that item because it's been recalled. But on the internet, on eBay, you get stuff recommended to you and you really don't know the history on it. So just for children in general, if you're an adult, if you're a teenager, whatever, like, you'll probably be fine. But if you're a child, if you have a child and you're buying stuff on eBay for your child, I think just in general, what I've learned from this is to look into the history of the item before you let your kid, you know, go ahead and use it, because you really don't get that information via the third party market. But anyway, this one was actually recalled for having asbestos in the freaking crayons. And I don't even know what asbestos is, but I know that people don't like it, and that's not a good thing. Let's see, what does asbestos do to the body? It's just like a meme, you know, everybody knows, like, back in the old days, they had asbestos and lead in, like, the walls of the schools and stuff like that. Okay, asbestos is a group of naturally formed fibrous materials that, when disturbed, release microscopic, durable fibers into the air. Inhaling or ingesting these fibers causes them to become trapped in your body, leading to severe long-term inflammation, scarring, fatal diseases, including asbestosis. That just sounds like somebody made that up, okay? Like, let's be real. It's like skateboarding and skinning your knee, and they go, oh, you've got skateria, skate bacteria in your wound there. Look at all that skateria. Okay, the asbestosis, I'm sure it's real, but I know it's real. Lung cancer or mesothelioma. That is an aggressive form of cancer. And I mean, freaking man, I'm just trying to over here draw a fire truck, and now all of a sudden I gotta worry about aggressive cancer? Like, no, that's not okay. So yes, that is terrible. Okay, next up here, last one here, and we have one more too that is an additional one, an 11th item that actually came out in 2025, but that one's gonna be exclusively for the Patreon and YouTube members. But our last item here is actually these guys, these little water squirters. So there are several reports of different ones, not just SpongeBob, but water toys in general that came out during this time that would have mold growth inside of them. And when you look at them, it makes a lot more sense. You will notice that nowadays, a lot of the water toys, they have a much bigger like hole to release the water in and out of them than they did back in the day. I mean, so remember back in the day, sometimes you would get these water toys in the bathtub and there would be that little bit of like calcium that would kind of seal up the hole. And like when you would take a bath, maybe you gotta squeeze that sucker pretty hard to get that, like the water to come out. And that's because they made them so tight. Like in fact, if you look at the bottom of this one, that thing is darn near sealed, you know, like to the inside. So what happens is the water gets in there, kids don't properly drain them, of course, and even if they do, there's still residue of the water on the inside of it, just kind of dripping off the sides, that stays inside of there with not enough airflow, and it eventually creates black mold. And then your kids freaking taking the water, squirting it in their mouth, squirting it in their face, and it's likely got traces of black mold squirting onto them. So and that's even with a lot of the modern ones of these, from what I've been able to see. So, and that's with more airflow. So I think just in general, these squeeze water toys, I would say, are a no-go. For adults and stuff like, you know, collectors like me, these are fine to have in your collection. I mean, who knows? These could have mold in them. These were used the way I found them, so they could very much have black mold in them. But thankfully, as good as it sealed water in, hopefully it seals black mold from coming out. I hope. But that is it. If you guys enjoyed this dark side of cartoon collecting, let me know. I definitely would cover Cartoon Network. We can cover Disney. And I want to try to look for, especially with Disney, I want to kind of try to look for some of the ones that maybe you haven't heard about. We've all heard about the old school McDonald's cups with the leaded paint in them. You know, maybe some lesser known things that might be kind of fun. So if you guys enjoyed this series, let me know in the comments down below. If the video does well, I'll definitely do another one. If you guys want to support the show further, consider becoming a member of our YouTube membership or our Patreon. On our Patreon, you get extended versions of every single video with some stuff that you'll never see here on YouTube for a variety of reasons. We just have extra cuts of stuff too, like maybe I just, you know, dive into things a little bit deeper and, you know, things like that. So go check out the Patreon. You get invited to our Discord. There's tons of stuff, so go check that out down below. But before we go, or I was gonna say scan it, but for your safety, I'm not going to do that in this video. But on that note, I'll see you guys in this video over here that I know you're going to love. One of our hunting videos where we'll look out for all the stuff that I love on this channel, all the awesome collectibles in terms of cartoons. So go take a look. I'll see you over there. And as always, I'll see you beautiful people in the next one. Adios and bloop.